Hey everyone. Um, Today I'm going to go over options basics. I think a lot of my videos are a little some are advanced and some don't talk specifically about the beginner side of things. So today I'm going to go over the basics of options and what you should be looking for, right? So firstly, we're going to just go straight to the option chain. Now that's the first and most important part of options is understanding the options chain, right? An options chain is just a table where you initiate your plays. Now, if you're using Robinhood, this doesn't exist, which is why I recommend everybody get off of it. Now, moving um, on this particular chart, we're looking at basically two sides, right? We've got the left side, which is your call side, the right side, which is your put side. This purplish looking area on both sides is in the money, right? And this dark side on both sides, or the black side, is out of the money. Now, it depends on the type of plays you're doing, but this is very important to know when looking at the option chain, right? So next, we're going to talk about bid-ask spreads, right? So right here, we're looking at the bid is 400, the ask is 410. Now, it's important to understand what this is because if you get into a position and there's a pretty wide spread, that means that there's a disparity between the buyers and sellers. So there's going to be more of one side when the spread is much wider. And when you've got a tight spread, that means you've got about equal amount of buyers and sellers on both sides. And that's a good strike to get into, right? And we're also looking at here, we got strikes. And this is pretty common basic information. The strike is basically where you're going to pick a play, right? So like if I was bullish on Apple and I wanted to, let's say, get into a call, I could do something at the money right here on the 135 strike. Right? Now, it's also important to understand when choosing strikes, open interest is going to be the most important thing to look for, or one of the most important things to look for. And you also, the importance of open interest is the fact that this shows liquidity in the position, right? This shows how many open contracts are currently on that particular strike. Now, we need to make sure that we've got high open interest and stuff so that makes it easy for us to get in and out of positions. Because if there's really low open interest, then it's going to be hard to exit or enter a trade for that matter. Typically, I like to look for at least 500 or 500 open interest contracts per one that you want to get into. I think it's a pretty good rule of thumb. Should be easy to get in and out of a trade when you look at it with that kind of ratio. Now, lastly, but most certainly not least important, is going to be your implied volatility. Right? Now, implied volatility here, this is very important to understand because if you're buying to open positions, the general rule of thumb is the lower the IV, the better it is to get in that position because you want IV to gain steam as you're in that contract, and that builds value, that builds the premium on the contract. And vice versa, if you're selling to open a position, you need to have high implied volatility and hope that you get some kind of IV crush once you get in. That's going to really drastically push the price of your profits higher, um, much quicker, right? So there's a lot of factors that affect the price of the contract, and basically everything that I went over, they're all accountable for that, along with the price of the stock. Right? The price of the stock is that's not just the only thing that we're really trying to pay attention to here. It's the bid-ask spread. It's going to be um, specifically the type of trade you're doing, but bid-ask spread, implied volatility, and open interest. Right? Those three things are really important to understand when getting into trades. Right? So hopefully that was a very beneficial and informative for everybody. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.